Welcome back to my channel. It's been a little while since I did a guitar video, but I have purchased a new one, and this is probably going to be the most redundant and unnecessary video that I've made in quite a while, because there are already several videos pretty much exactly like this one already on YouTube. But I don't care. I've got this guitar, I'm excited, and I want to talk about it, so it's going to happen. What is it? You know, you've seen the thumbnail. I have gone and bought myself a Chibson. It is obviously a blatant copy of the Dave Grohl, well, Trini Lopez really, but the guitar Dave Grohl is most famous for using. The Trini Lopez signature slash Dave Grohl signature Gibson 335. First of all, why? Why have I got this? I don't really think that needs explaining, because look at it. It's so damn awesome. It's just phenomenal. I love how these guitars look. I'm a huge fan of Pelham Blue. So, for me, the ultimate guitar to have in Pelham Blue is this one. And I'm sure I don't need to tell you how much the real things cost. I think there were 2 Gibson runs of signature models that they made. The first run of 335s that they made these days go for tens of thousands of pounds, which is just ludicrous. And then I think the batch that came after, they sell for 7-8-ish grand, which is still crazy, but anyway. This, on the other hand, was £230. So, yeah, an attractive prospect, I think you'll agree. So that's the why. That's why I've got it. I was also curious, because a lot of people talk about Chibsons, knockoff guitars from China, and I just wanted to know what the quality would be like, if they would look anything remotely close to the photos that you see on eBay or AliExpress or wherever. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of satisfy that curiosity, I suppose. And I thought, what better guitar to test the waters than with this one that you cannot really, or at the time, you couldn't get for any kind of reasonable money. It was literally, I think, the week after I placed my order for this that I found out about the Epiphone version that was coming out. So, yeah, I felt a little bit stupid for that. It seems everybody else on the internet and around the world knew all about it already from leaks and rumours and things. But yeah, it was only when I ordered this and posted it on my Instagram that I got a few people messaging me saying, "Dude, don't you know the Epiphone one's coming out soon?" I'm like, "What? No, I didn't know about this." So yeah, that was a little bit frustrating. But having since seen the prices of the Epiphone 335s, the official ones, I don't feel like I missed out too much. They're still quite expensive. I mean, they're like, what, 1,200 quid? Something like that. It's a chunk of change. I might very well get myself one at some point if I see one second hand for a good deal. But yeah, I'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. Let's talk about this thing. So my first impressions of this guitar. I knew going in this was not going to be, what's the word, decent. I did watch a few other videos, like I said, on YouTube of other people that ordered this exact model of guitar from overseas, and I pretty much knew going in what to expect based on their experiences. So yeah, it was no surprise to me at all, really, when this turned up to look it over, and immediately on at first glance to think, wow, it looks amazing, and then almost immediately on closer inspection you start realizing where corners were cut. The main issues with the paint work, shall we say, first of all, I think that would be a good place to start. Let's flip this over. I would say the worst part of this guitar for the finish is the headstock. I don't know if you can see this. I might try and get the light angled. I don't know. Oh, there you go. I think you can just about see there on the headstock. If I try and focus a little bit. There are some runs in the paint just here. You can't really feel it with your finger, so I think it's buried underneath the lacquer. It feels fairly smooth, so that's not ideal. The back of the neck, it feels really tacky from here to about here. So literally during this little patch here, where you would obviously do most, I would say, of your hand holding, that's a really weird kind of texture. It feels like it's dull or matte kind of finish. Not even as good as that, really. It feels really rough. I don't know what on earth is going on there. I will probably sand this whole neck anyway, because I just tend to prefer the feel of a sanded neck, even though it usually kills me to do so on a really nice guitar. Again, which is why I don't feel bad at all about taking some sandpaper to this when A, I paid so little, and B, it's not exactly in the best of condition to begin with. So yeah, getting back to the rest of the guitar, it doesn't look too bad everywhere else. The paintwork is not perfect, but I would say it's more than passable. I was actually surprised by how smooth and sharp some of the lines are, especially around like places like the binding on the neck and on the body, all the way around, really. Again, I'm being careful here. Yeah, there really isn't an obvious amount of issue with the paintwork elsewhere on the guitar. Moving on to the actual construction of the guitar, again, very impressed. Maybe it's partly because my expectations were just very, very low. That could be a factor, I don't know, but certainly, again, I was expecting the feel of things like the neck to be quite rough, sharp frets, that kind of thing. But no, it's very smooth all down the sides. There are no sharp edges. These frets have been treated pretty well, I think. Certainly the ends, anyway, are nice and blunt, I guess. They look like they've been rolled, or some of them have. Anyway, the ones right at the very bottom, maybe less so. But again, they're so far down, you're not going to hit them with your hand anyway. Yeah, it's a very, very nice guitar. All of the issues that I have heard, read, seen about from other people that have bought these guitars have been mostly around the hardware side of things. I will plug in just a moment and show you some sounds so you can hear for yourself, because I don't think it's particularly fair necessarily to just give you my opinion on the sound, because it's all relative. To some people it might sound fantastic as it is. I personally am going to be upgrading a lot of the things, if not everything, on this guitar anyway. So I'm going to be probably swapping out the pickups and the rest of the hardware for some more decent quality stuff, because ultimately that was the plan with this guitar. The one main issue that I do have with this guitar in its current state is the fretboard material. a lot of cheaper guitars these days, I have noticed, have very scratchy fretboards. And if you don't know what I mean by that, just take a listen. If you ignore the sound of the string, if I dampen the string, it's not good. I hate that. I really do not like the sound of that. Every time you bend a string, oh, no. That's, no thank you. I don't really know what to do about that. I'm sure there's probably something that can be done. Whether it's a case of applying just lots of oil, maybe, layers and layers of oil to the fretboard and filling in the pores of the wood so that it becomes a smoother surface and it's less scratchy, or straight up lacquer if it's just a case of lacquering this fretboard and getting obviously somebody else to do that, because I don't trust myself to do a job like that. I don't know, but again, these are all things that I will address and look at some point in the future. For 230 quid, it's surprisingly decent. I would say it's certainly more than decent as a base for working on as a project, which is what I plan to do with it, as I said. Which kind of brings me on to why I think anybody would want to buy one of these. I think it's best if you're going down one of two different avenues. I think it's fantastic if you want a barely playable or just about playable enough piece of wall art. So for 230 quid, a cool guitar that represents a band or artist that you're a fan of, that's going to look great on my wall when I eventually sort the hanger out that has torn a hole in the plasterboard. But yeah, when I eventually have something sorted out with that, this will be going on the wall, probably in the centre position. So yeah, I think that's going to look really smart, hanging up there on the wall. And the second reason, obviously, is the one that I got it for, to upgrade, modify, make it your own, have a cool project to work on, upgrade in stages. You can just change little bits here and there as you go, maybe over years, who knows. But certainly, maybe every month you just spend a little bit more upgrading bits here and there. And before you know it, I suspect you would have a very decent little guitar for not that much money. I will talk a little bit about the ethics of buying such a guitar. Like I said, when I was ordering this thing through eBay, it was an eBay seller, I did get quite a lot of back and forth with the person running the account on eBay, who clearly works in the factory that produces all these guitars for so cheap. And he was asking me all about the specs of the guitar, what colour I wanted it in, and left or right-handed, all of that kind of stuff, which was cool. He didn't specifically mention anything about the logo on the headstock, what that would be. But I remember I watched one YouTube video on someone that had ordered one of these, and customs had seized it, basically, upon arrival into the country, because it had a Gibson logo on the headstock, making this a counterfeit guitar. So yeah, he was able to get his money back through eBay, through PayPal, or yeah, eBay, I think, the buyer protection, which obviously is a huge safety net for this kind of thing. I always use eBay for that reason. But you're going through all the trouble of ordering something and waiting, weeks and weeks and weeks, only to have that happen. For that reason, and also, I don't want to be responsible personally for having a look-alike guitar that could potentially be passed off as the real thing to somebody else at some point later down the line. I don't want to be responsible for that. My plan isn't to sell this guitar ever at any point for any amount. I just don't want to sell this guitar. This isn't what it is. That's not what it's intended for. I don't plan on doing a bunch of stuff to it and then just kicking it out the door. This is staying with me. and especially because of it being a moral grey area. If I was forced into a situation, say, where I had to sell off everything and, you know, I needed money or whatever, I definitely wouldn't want to be responsible for a replica that could trick somebody who didn't know any better. I very much would not like that to happen. So, yeah, I'm personally, I feel okay about buying one of these for myself, just for my own private use. If you're thinking about doing the same thing, I would highly recommend not having the logo on it. They did put it in the box, so they did ship it with the logo as a sticker, just loose in the box. And yeah, I guess the option is there if I ever change my mind. If I ever think, oh, it's just, you know, it's the finishing touch or whatever, or the headstock just looks a bit bland without it. I doubt I'll ever feel that way. If I do put anything on the headstock, it'll probably be. I think you can get Chibson headstock stickers. I think. I certainly would rather put something like that on there, just to make it clear that it's not real. So I might look into that. But yeah, that pretty much concludes my thoughts and initial impressions on this guitar. Again, ideally, you'd get the Epiphone. That seems to me to be the best thing to do. You know, you want to support the actual company that produces the original guitars. I got into this debate recently with that whole Warm Audio Ringer Bringer clone of the Moog Mooga Fuga pedal. Yeah, I mean, everyone's different. Everyone's got their own feelings, their own take, etc. on cloning, replicas, whatever. Everyone draws the line in a different place. Personally, I think all clones are fine and replicas are okay within reason. Like, as long as there's no obvious deception, like you're not actually replicating precisely, you know, in order to take away sales or to fool people, you know, into buying a counterfeit of something. That's obviously not cool. But yeah, for personal, private use, I don't see it as a massive deal, especially if you have absolutely no intention whatsoever of shelling out massive money to buy an original. So yeah, so basically, this is the Warm Audio Ringer Bringer, I guess, of the Moog. If you can't afford a Mooga Fuga ring mod, then why wouldn't you buy a cheaper clone of that pedal? And by the same token, if you can't afford a Gibson DG335, or even the Epiphone version at 1,200 or so quid, why not? I don't personally see it as a big issue, as I said. So I'm going to plug in now. I've done enough talking, and let's hear some sounds. Lower your expectations, as I did, and yeah, maybe some of the sounds in this thing aren't too terrible. Let's find out. I will say goodbye now. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.